Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another legal breaking reporting and video analysis update. Trump's Justice Department has just been ordered by a federal judge to turn over all grand jury materials to former Democratic FBI James Comey. Let's get into this reporting by the by the Hill. Before we begin, ladies and gentlemen, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy. Let's get into it. The article is titled, Judge Orders DOJ to Turn Over Grand Jury Materials to James Comey, Cites Disturbing Pattern. Ladies and gentlemen, and the article reads, a federal magistrate judge has ordered the Justice Department to turn over grand jury materials to former FBI Director James Comey as he fights criminal charges pointing to possible government misconduct as reason to grant the unusual relief. Judge William Fitzgerald referenced several apparent missteps by Lindsey Halligan, the interim U.S. attorney handpicked by President Trump to pursue charges against his foe that may have threatened the proceedings' fairness. He said that Comey's right to due process outweighs the typical secrecy afforded to grand jury proceedings, directing prosecutors to hand over the materials by the end of Monday. Today, ladies and gentlemen. This quote from Judge Fitzgerald, quote, the court recognizes that the relief sought by the defense is rarely granted, unquote, Fitzgerald said. Quote, however, the record points to a disturbing pattern of profound investigative missteps that led an FBI agent and a prosecutor to potentially undermine the integrity of the grand jury proceeding, unquote. Comey faces false statements and obstruction charges stemming from 2020 testimony he gave to Congress about the leaks at the FBI. He has pleaded not guilty, and a trial is set for January 5th. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, note that I've reported on this multiple times, and Congress has said that they feel like they were not lied to. So more than likely, this is a vindictive and selective prosecution, as it is. I'm just going to call it as it is, ladies and gentlemen. Though Fitzgerald did not name Halligan, a different federal judge confirmed at a hearing last week that Halligan was the only prosecutor to present evidence against Comey to the grand jury. Fitzgerald also said that just one prosecutor was present. The judge wrote that the prosecutor made at least 2 statements to grand jurors that seemed to be fundamental misstatements of the law. The remarks themselves were redacted in the court filing, but Fitzpatrick said they came in response to grand jurors' questions and were directly related to communications involving Comey. One of the remarks the judge said implied that Comey did not have a Fifth Amendment right to decline to testify at trial, which may have led grand jurors to believe that it is Comey's burden, not the government's, to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That statement was made in response to challenging questions from grand jurors. Fitzpatrick continued, suggesting grand jurors may have believed that even if Halligan could not answer their questions, Comey would later have to. The other remarks clearly suggested the grand jurors that they did not, two grand jurors that they did not have to rely on the record before them and could be assured that the government had more and possibly better evidence that would be presented at trial, the judge said. Fitzpatrick also raised concern about the actual indictment return. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this legal breaking reporting and video analysis update. If you did enjoy this legal breaking reporting and video analysis update, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy for more legal breaking news that you need to know about. More to come.